In startling news, leading economists are increasingly sounding the alarms that the global system currently in place for managing and offsetting debt is severely broken and urgently calls for drastic reform. These claims are poised against the backdrop of a precarious global economic environment, marked by the United States reshaping its superpower status and climate change, which has swiftly climbed up to the top of the global agenda. For decades, the financial architecture designed to handle economic downturns, national and global debt was built around the assumption that the U.S. would always remain the preeminent global superpower, with its economic prowess and stability influencing a vast majority of world markets. However, as numerous nations, including China, continue to gain momentum on the global stage, this assumption is drawing more scrutiny. Additionally, climate change was not a significant part of the economic conversation when these systems were established. With its undeniable impact on global economies today, this creates a huge blind spot wherein our financial safeguards fall horrifically short. The magnitude of global debt is an ongoing cause for concern. According to the International Monetary Fund, global public debt is projected to reach an all-time high of $102 trillion, 97% of global GDP, by the end of 2020. In other words, nearly every dollar made around the world this year will be needed to pay off existing public debts. Such figures are testimony to the debt problem being a huge challenge. When these systems were designed, the idea of such dizzying global debt was unfathomable. Combined with the fact that the U.S.'s role as the top dog is being contested and the escalating threat of climate change, it's clear that time for dilly-dallying is over. Several economists are suggesting proactive, innovative solutions. The premise is for a complete overhaul of the current financial climate and how we manage global debts, top-to-bottom reforms on how nations run their economies. Ideas range from introducing green finance, maximizing climate-friendly investments, to overhauling global financial institutions like the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Junaid Syria, a strategist and risk expert, stated, "The biggest failure has been the lack of aggressive reforms to reshape debts. It's like a never-ending cycle, and the system in place isn't sufficient. We need a new way of addressing these new and emerging threats." This news is particularly relevant today as nations grapple with the economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has only exposed the cracks in the system further, pushing many economies towards the brink. As governments continue to borrow heavily to fund their responses and recovery attempts, debt levels are only spiraling upwards. In conclusion, there is a growing consensus among experts that a significant overhaul of our financial systems is an urgent necessity. The enormity of the global debt problem is one that cannot be ignored, and the measures in place to deal with it are woefully inadequate given the accelerating pace of geopolitical and environmental change. With climate change posing a grave, unseen economic risk, there is a clear and present need for economists, legislators, and world leaders to come together and redefine the systems that manage global debt before it's too late.